Welcome to this exciting panel discussion. Future of work is something that all of us have been hearing about constantly nowadays. There are a number of studies which have been done, and there are a number of recommendations on what we should do and what we shouldn't do. Today, I'm here with a very distinguished panel with Dr. Metri from IIM Nagpur, Dr. Shahani, Professor Manikrao, and Raghav Gupta. All of them are here to share the point of view on what is the future of work and probably provide us some answers and share some best practices. With that, I'd like to get started with Dr. Shahani. Dr. Shahani, in your opinion, what drives employability?
So it's interesting you asked a question about the term employability. So my doctorate is in the area of employability, and I've worked with companies and universities around the world to define it. What is interesting is that there's no definition of the word employability, right? Mm-hmm. So the problem is that when every company says we want an employable candidate, there's no standard answer. So for example, one recruiter will say, I want someone who'll just get the work done without any supervision. Another person says, I want someone who's got the ambition to be a future leader. Another person says, I want someone who'll just follow orders without question. Again, qualitative answers, but there's actually no standard. And we all know the Peter Drucker phrase that what can be measured can be managed, right? So the thing is that until we're able to come up with measures and standards of employability, it's very difficult for a lot of academia to come up with training, large-scale training to make people employable. So the thing is what happens that most industries globally, and even in unregulated markets where there's no government control on education in the US, UK, there's 76% of employers are still dissatisfied with the quality of graduates coming out of colleges. So what my basic thesis is saying that if we're able to define employability into a standard that academia can actually train people towards, then we'll actually have a start of a conversation that works very well. And again, just taking 1 minute more, what my research has discovered is that at the entry level, every employer wants basically 5 things in a candidate. One is strong communication skills. Second is good team working ability. Third is critical thinking ability. Fourth is a proactive mindset. And fifth is basically a professional work ethic. That's it. No matter if you're in the finance industry, IT industry, media industry, they all want this personality. And also, if you're able to create measures and ways to develop these 5 characteristics, then you actually will have a standard that academia can work towards. But I think you require industry and academia to sort of collaborate to actually develop these standards together.
Very interesting perspective, and it definitely would be interesting to read your thesis on the subject. I'll move on to Dr. Metri. Dr. Metri, looking at the current scenario, there is an imperative need to reimagine and rewrite the future of the workforce. How would you define skills and capability to initiate this change?
Thank you. Future-ready workforce, I mean, it is preparing the workforce to lead the unknown roles in unborn companies. Mm-hmm. So today it is a fluid world. So you can see that the entire world, it is totally, changing continuous basis. Disruptions are happening. It is like a flowing water, and old is not yet dead and new is not yet born. So always we are in a transition stage due to continuous digital disruption. So in this kind of scenario, 2 models are emerging out for the future of workforce. One is liquid workforce. Accenture coined this term sometime back. Liquid workforce means basically they are ready to be reskilled and adapt to be relevant to the present fluid world. So fluid world is continuously changing. Second model is, it is the, I can say it is a human cloud, freelance. So probably freelance means people, those who are expertise in some area, they can do work for many companies, and this is going to lead the large number of temporary workers. And that is how there is a reimagination, rethinking of learning. So rethinking of learning brought out the 3 things. First of all, it has changed the learning goal. What used to be there and today what is there is entirely different. Earlier focus was only on knowledge, and later on came to the competency. Now the capabilities has been added as the another important component, and capability competencies have taken over the knowledge. And that is how the entire learning method has changed. The new pedagogy has come, and new pedagogy is all about a phenomena-based learning. Phenomena-based learning means a situation is given to the group of students, team of students, and team of experts will be advising them, and they will write from conceptualization of idea to solving the entire problem with innovative solution. A group will be working on that. That is called as a phenomena-based learning. And the second one is a project-based learning, PBL. So PBL means a project is given, it may be live project or any projects, and the learners will work into that. So that is how, and apart from that, the company's learning and development departments of the companies, they have to be lean, they have to be very quick, and they have to be very experiential, agile. And that is how, the new pedagogy, basically in the form of gamification or in the form of simulation games, online. So learning to learn happens out of that. And they also get thinking about thinking of thinking. So these are the new things, and that will help to grow their mindset. It is instead of developing the people in the skill, now the time has come, we have to develop the mindset of the people instead of development of the skill. And that is going to be developing a growth mindset, which is need of an hour to lead the unborn roles in unknown companies.
Very interesting point of view, Dr. Metri. I mean, you're talking about building the capability of an individual, not just the skills of the individual, which will clearly make a difference for all time to come rather than for the current job or the next job. I think very, very interesting point of view. Thank you there. Raghav, coming to you, how does one get comprehensive job and skills insights?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very relevant in today's time as well, where so many things are changing quite rapidly, I would say, Ritu. That's the biggest difference that we are seeing. As Coursera, we work with many businesses around the world, and 90% of businesses around the world are becoming digital faster. That's the one biggest theme that we are seeing. And because of businesses becoming digital, there's a lot more data being created in the world. And so irrespective of roles, irrespective of functions, many companies are looking for people who understand digital, people who understand data. And to your question specifically about how does one get to know about the new jobs and the new roles, we tend to look towards data on the Coursera platform, right? There are millions of learners on our platform. They are taking millions and millions of courses. And very recently, a few weeks ago, we came out with something which we call the Global Skills Report. It looks at 100+ countries. It looks at many, many industries, and it says what's changing in terms of some of the roles that are coming up and in some of the skills that are required as well. And as an example, if I were to look at what Dr. Akhil shared earlier, if leadership is a skill that employers are looking for, leadership without authority but with virtual teams is the current version of leadership skill that employers are looking for, if you were to double click on this, right? If you are working to be somebody in the finance profession, then understanding blockchain and understanding fintech is something that employers are looking for, if you were to double click on an MBA student who wants to go and work in the finance domain. So lots of insight is coming out from data of what's happening on platforms like Coursera, which can actually help inform some of the thought process around jobs as well as skills that will come up and will be needed in the future.
Very, very interesting, Raghav. I think, as we merge the online with the classroom and as we move forward, I think we will have more learnings and we will evolve, more strongly to provide what the industry needs and provide what the community needs. So thank you. Professor Manikrao, if I may come to you and ask you a question. What are some of the challenges universities are facing in teaching digital skills? And has the last 1 year accelerated the change?
One of the challenges faced is the paradigm shift towards the remote online learning as well as online teaching. Teachers have been forced to adapt to relearning, leveling traditional way of teaching. There are fundamental challenges faced by the students, many of whom do not have access to the technology or a high-speed internet connection needed to complete their course. There is a huge digital divide in urban and rural area in terms of availability of requisite equipment, devices for online learning, and availability of technical infrastructure. It poses difficulty to study online, and students required holding to shift from offline to online mode. Another challenge, we must admit, face-to-face interaction between teachers and students, along with vibrant, healthy debates among the peers within the classroom and outside, was integral to quality teaching, which may be difficult to address due to this online mode of delivery. I should admit this. Universities have adopted this change with emphasis of active learning instead of long session. Student engagement is done through mix of discussion, what Professor Metri has mentioned, collaboration, video chips, audio clips, hands-on exercises, project-based learning. Students must be allowed to use digital tools in presenting assignment as a PowerPoint video presentation, thus making the student to work on assignments with more interest. The advanced technologies have ability to plan, manage, and support digital transportation. Needs to for education industry, as Coursera has been mentioned, it can help institutions to move their focus away from traditional learning models to adopt digital. This motivates immersive learning experiences, future-ready staff, and the strategic outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Manikrao. That was very, very insightful. I think we are at a point where we need to talk about how can schools and universities leverage leverage the industry partnership to bridge that employability gap. I think Dr. Akhil spoke a lot about employability. Raghav and Professor Manikrao spoke about how you impart the curriculum. I think it's only logical that we move on and talk about how we can bridge that gap between industry and academia. At Dell, where I work, we have 2030 moonshot goals that we talk about, where one of the moonshot goals is transforming lives. And what we've committed to doing is advancing health, education, and economic opportunities for over 1 billion people by 2030. To that end, in India, we're driving a number of programs, plethora of programs where we run educational programs for school children. We drive programs for the youth to skill them. We drive programs for the community to really reach out to them and make them more digitally savvy. Last year, as an example, we touched 7.7 million lives. And 1/3 of these were directly. This year, we're hoping that's 16 million lives. That's an ongoing. Would you like to talk about what you're doing at Coursera?
Yeah, so absolutely. So firstly, I think fundamentally, one of the things that has been changing, but I think the pandemic has accelerated, is I think we've moved to a world where, at least for a student in a university, he or she is no longer only limited to learning from his or her university. I think that has fundamentally changed in higher education. So today I could be, a student in Delhi doing an MBA, and chances are I will study something from another university outside India. And chances are also that I will also study something coming directly from industry. That's fundamentally changed. And let me explain that a little bit, right? So last year we had about 4,000 campuses leverage the Coursera for Campus platform when campuses were shut, and we brought a lot of learning to these individuals. And what these students took was content from 150 of the top universities around the world, but they also took content from 55 leading companies. And Ritu, like you spoke, that you guys are doing at Dell, there are many companies who we've partnered with on the Coursera platform who want to bring cutting edge knowledge, cutting edge skills to students so that they can help them prepare for careers of the future. And what we've done at Coursera is we've partnered with about 55 companies who've authored 800 pieces of content, which last year was taken by, I believe, upwards of 10 million people in India as well as around the world, right? So if you want to learn something related to IT, security or UX design, who better than Google to teach some of that, right? Or if you want to learn social media marketing, then who better than Facebook to possibly provide some learning opportunities on that? Or if you want to learn about sales, then who better than Salesforce to bring a piece of content around that? And we've seen good success with this to say, can we bring high quality, job relevant content from top institutions like this, Google, Facebook, Salesforce, and many others, total of 55 currently, and can we bring those to students? And so we've created these projects which are enabling, we've created these courses in partnerships with these companies which are enabling this. And the other thing that we've seen resonating with students in academic institutions quite well is not just limiting this to knowledge, but also to hands-on practice. So we've launched something at Coursera called guided projects, where you can actually come and learn the concept behind a particular topic. But if it is a digital skill, you can actually practice it in an online virtual environment as well. And we've received some good feedback from students saying this has been quite helpful. In fact, even faculty are, learning similar skills and they found it helpful. And then they've taken it to their students as well. And that's a good approach that we seem to see working quite well.
That's absolutely a great point there, Raghav. I mean, last year we continue to do it actually. We continue to do a lot online. One of the things that we are doing at Dell as well is reaching out to the community, to the underserved section of society via online courses again, right? Where we are recording courses, we're doing online classes, just like probably you are and everybody else is. So with that, I will move to Dr. Shahani. While you articulated skills and capability are required to be successful, while you articulated what was required to be successful, in your opinion, what is it that the industry can do to facilitate this?
Okay, very good question. So in fact, if you go back, and I'm going to step away from the technology question because we seem to be more focused on EdTech and the miracle of technology. Germany has the lowest rate of unemployment in most countries, mainly because the classic German vocational education model is supported by industry. How does that work? Typically, what happens is that when a student is in university or whatever training institute, more often than not, they will take a year off and actually they will actually join industry and work as an apprentice, actually learning on the job, because there's something that you cannot learn in the classroom that you can learn on the job, right? Now, the key thing, and this is very important, is that the German companies like Siemens and all, they say, look, we understand we're not just taking a kid as an intern and just putting him into some grunt work and, let him do some surveys or something very basic. We actually are engaging the kid to make sure that he or she actually develops as a potential employee. He may or may not join us as an employee, but we want to make sure that there actually is a learning environment that they can work with. So I think the best thing that industry can do is actually get more and more students as apprentices or interns, but don't just take them as basic interns and just, pass them on to some junior manager and the junior manager doesn't know what to do with them. Very often, I've seen too many internships where the junior manager says, okay, let me just give him some basic work. The student just does functionary work. Everyone feels happy because our internship has happened, but no learning has happened. Versus companies that say, look, we actually want to develop a workforce that could work with us, and we actually will give them serious, important work to do, and we will mentor them and support them do that. This is not technology driven. This is not driven by any capability. It's just a mindset to engage with the student. And let me just say two more things. One of the key drivers of the 5 skills I was talking about, the most important thing is to develop what is called a sense of self-efficacy. Self-efficacy basically is a mindset in a student or an individual that says, look, if there's a problem in front of me, I know that I will be able to work hard enough to succeed. I may not do it because I'm brilliant, but because I know I will make the effort to keep on trying and failing to succeed. The way companies can facilitate a level of self-efficacy in their future workforce is to give them what's called mastery projects. That means you say, look, here's a defined objective that you have to achieve, whether you're a student or an entry-level employee. We will try your best to achieve that objective. There are no instructions, no nothing. Just go to do it. However, if you fail, we will not punish you or tell you that you're an idiot. We actually will give you supportive information or supportive mentoring to make sure that you have the effort to get up and try again. If a company tries to give students mastery projects as internships and gives them a supporting mentoring environment to do that, I think that's the best thing that they can do. But that requires a major change in company HR and L&D departments, but it's very easy to do. The Germans and the Swiss do it very well.
You make a very good point there. Earlier this week, actually, we were talking about customizing a program, what we want to call the Dell resident program. Right? We have hundreds of interns we hire every year. And yes, they clearly come into roles where we ensure, we actually have a commitment to ensure that they learn and they deliver as well, because that's the only way forward, to your point. But to give you 30 seconds on this Dell resident program, what we are looking at is we are looking at getting women from, lower socioeconomic backgrounds from the hinterlands who've got the education probably, but don't have the city exposure or don't have, it's like polishing a diamond, right? They have all the skills, but they just need to be comfortable working in a larger setup, in a larger corporate, in a city environment sometimes. So just bring them in, and we're looking at assigning mentors to all of them and taking them through a year-long program where we will impart those softer skills as well as ensure they get comfortable in an environment which is more corporate. So yes, couldn't agree with you more. I think that is the way forward, where each one of us has to invest in giving back to society in that sense. Professor Manikrao, if I may ask you a question, how do you think we can address and bridge the skill gap between academia and business?
See, academia and industry are two different worlds which operate on different pedestals. Both have different purposes and different ideologies. However, the rapid pace of change in outside environment is compelling these two different worlds to come together to address and solve real world challenges. The KPMG Skill Development Report for the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry Labor force requirement in India to grow from 477 million to approximately more than 500 million. The tremendous growth rate undermines the demand for skilled workforce. However, as per this AICT statistic, less than 40% graduate students get job in industry. This clearly shows a mismatch between industry requirement and academic skill development, what has been mentioned. One of the approaches to tackle the problem of lacking skill and job readiness is partnership between the industry and academia. While the predicting the nature of the job that would be available in the future difficult, the efforts to prepare the students for the job should continue. I would like to highlight few. See, I was a Vice Chancellor of YCMU, where we have a program in collaboration with the Lupin. And actually the students used to work in Lupin. Lupin used to give the scholarship to the students, and only the teaching part was done by university. So immediately, and the students used to have the 100% job guarantee in the Lupin, and that's why they are working very hard and they are job ready for this particular thing. Now, there are few challenges and we are facing. So what we have decided, we'll align the curriculum with the industry requirement. Second, we are emphasizing skill-based education. And recently with the TCS, we have started computer science and business system course, where we both are involved in teaching. Some industry people and some university people, both are involved in teaching as well as conducting the practicals. Even the internship is given by TCS. Such type of models we are trying to evolve. Workplace exposure through entrepreneurship, live project, and corporate interactions are required. And upskilling, or reskilling, what Professor Metri was saying, is our faculty is very important. And that is one thing we are trying to do at university level. Emphasis on collaborative research. Research with the industry, that's another. Instead of giving only consultancy, now we would like to have some projects from the industry and we would like to collaborate in order to skill. And these are some of the strategies, and other experts will tell more. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Dr. Metri, what is your point of view on the gap that has to be bridged, and how do you think we can bridge it?
So I think what Professor Salunkhe right now say. So I will add some more point. One is if you go by the World Economic Forum report, and also Akhil rightly said about it is about active learning. Future belongs to active learning for engaging the students and increasing the attention spans of the learner. Active learning is extremely important, and to fill the gap between what industry wants and what academia is giving. So, and today's kind of disruption like a pandemic is also one of the disruption. In such situation, how to remain engage students for longer time. So for that purpose, as I earlier told, one is the gamifications, online simulations. There are many softwares have come. So that is going to help. And before going to do that, why we are going to do that question should be answered by the faculty member and the business schools and even L&Ds. So one important thing is, because active learning is one part, active learning skill, but the second one is why you are doing, what kind of skills are required, what are the future skills we are looking, irrespective of which company, which product. As Akhil rightly said, we need to get those kind of skills. One, I can say softer skills are still needed, irrespective of what kind of robots are coming in future. Number two, strategic skills. Strategy related skills are still required. Number three, collaborative skills. As Professor Salunkhe rightly said, collaboration is going to be the way. And even Akhil said, collaborative leadership is extremely important in future, empowering the people. So collaborative skills. Apart from that, future generation digital skills, or I can say digital thinking skills. So these are the skills, and above all, the important skill, I can say, we can call it as a skill, that is sense making skill. So sense making skill means 3 years down the line, what products are going to disappear, what new products are coming, what new companies are going to emerge, and what kind of diversification is going to come. And probably people say 2030 difficult to predict, 2025 only we can talk about coming 2-3 years. So this is a kind of fluid world. So this is the kind of gap is going to emerge, because companies are continuously evolving, skill requirements are continuously changing. So in this kind of scenario, soft skills, strategic skills, sense making skills, collaborative skills, and new generation skills, these are anyway required, apart from the capability, that is a development of mindset to take up any kind of situations and to overcome those situations, and that is basically handling the phenomena. So these are the capabilities, and those skills are need of an hour. And to do that, for example, what we are planning, in recently, I can talk about my institute. I am in Nagpur. We are collaborating one of the Singapore-based company and global virtual team. As Akhil rightly said, mastering projects. So global virtual team means one student from one of the institute in India, say my institute, one from Russia, one from Australia, one from US. So all those are coming together doing one project, that is a global virtual team project. And each of these belongs to different continent and different time zone and different period. And each places, the respective faculty will guide those students as a supervisor, and they together do the project. One will be in the early morning, one will be in the night, one will be, maybe mid-afternoon. They all together. So cross-cultural understanding as well as global exposure, they will get sitting in their own institutions, they can work. So this is a kind of, we are identifying industry project and students from different continent working together. So this we call as a global virtual team project, and which I was the chairman of the model curriculum for Government of India. We have recommended that also for all the MBA institutions. Apart from that, global immersion program, project-based immersion program. Maybe, we take students to Singapore. So their students first, before going 2 weeks, they study the projects and company, everything, and they physically go there and they will see and experience. So the project-based learning, basically there, what is currently happening and in what direction companies are moving, students will get. Third one is live projects. Most of the companies, they will give the live projects, students will interact, and one industry mentor will be there, one academic faculty mentor will be there. As Salunkhe Sahab rightly said, a professionally qualified person will be mentoring and academically qualified person will be mentoring. These two together guide the students, advise the students, and they come out with a futuristic project. Third and most important one is each, the leaders of the corporate world. I can talk CEOs, those who have successfully positioned the company. They themselves act as a human libraries. So such people coming to the institution and putting them into the classroom to address the students. So no library, no book can teach, but these people can share their life experience to the students, how they faced all those situations and in what direction we are going. And so many decades of experience they will share, and this will help students to be a great growth mindset, and this develop their mindset, and they will take the organization to the next level. So that is why we can always say that in academics, we can put the industry leaders into the classroom, and they will produce the product which can take up the unknown roles in unborn companies. This is how we can close the gap, and it is happening. Most of the top schools are working in their direction, and we are all playing a role. And apart from that, many MOOCs and even Coursera, all those are also supporting in this. Thank you.
Fantastic, Dr. Metri. I think, you've really articulated some very practical, doable suggestions. And in my opinion, they would work very well. If you talk about the cross-cultural projects that you spoke about, very real in any corporate scenario today, where you have distributed teams who are all working together online, and this is setting them up for success from that perspective. Which, frankly, from an HR perspective, when I look at one of the things we are trying to train people on, it is an area where we are focusing, and if you're doing it at the university itself, it's very helpful. So all your suggestions were very, very well taken. Thank you very much. I think we do have a few more minutes, and I wanted to just go around the table and get one final thought from each of the panelists, so that we can then, wrap up the session and move forward. Akhil, would you like to start?
Yeah, I think this is something I sort of share with my fellow education leaders, is that try to not be a command and control leader. Get out of the way, let your younger professor, let your younger students actually come up with ideas and innovations, because a lot of them actually know how to construct their own education. So let's just step away, get out of the way, and get the smart people to actually come up and make changes in our own institutions. Let's not be the brilliant overlord all the time.
Thank you. Very, very well said. Raghav, what about you?
Yeah, firstly, I wanted to say, Professor, what Professor Metri said, right? Preparing students for unknown roles in unborn companies. I think that's fascinating. So compliments on just putting that there. Really good to hear that. I think from a summary standpoint, to me, what is fascinating is I don't think higher education has gone through this pace of change that we are seeing. And I think having a mindset to be able to evolve with this pace of change is possibly very important. And let me, use a few statistics to illustrate what I'm trying to say. January last year, on our platform in India, there were 50 lakh learners. And at the end of the year, there were 1 crore learners. So we doubled from 50 lakh to 1 crore learners, because that many people are feeling the need for online education. In February last year, there were 30 campuses using our platform around the world. And in November last year, there were 4,000 campuses using our platform. So that's the pace at which we've seen, change happening. And when I look at businesses where 90% businesses are saying that we are going to digitalize, and we need students with digital skills and data skills and working in a virtual environment, even post-COVID, remote work is not going away. And Ritu, you spoke about that as well. I think in higher education, having the mindset of a growth leader as opposed to a fixed mindset, I think is going to be super important going forward.
Absolutely. Thanks, Raghav. And you stole my thunder on the closing lines. I was going to quote Dr. Metri on that, but that's absolutely fine. Professor Manikrao, would you like to share some closing thoughts?
It is also imperative to provide right exposure and training to the faculty. It's really very important. And it will be great if the faculty can regularly undertake short industrial projects in collaboration with industrial experts. This will help to ensure that the faculty is in right line with the current industrial trends. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. And Dr. Metri, if I may ask you for your closing thoughts.
So flexibility is the name of the game going forward. Future belongs to perpetual learners and sense makers. For lifelong learning, one has to be edgy, make life as a skill laboratory for micro learning as well as macro learning, so that we can always remain relevant. And that is how the future is going to be there.
Thank you, Dr. Metri. I mean, we've had really fantastic thoughts from all of you here today. If I had to look and summarize what notes I've been making, clearly we're talking about phenomena-based learning. We're talking about 5 skills that every employer looks for that Dr. Sani spoke about. We're talking about active learning and gamification. We're talking about an exponential growth in online learning that Raghav spoke about. We have a digital divide that Professor Manikrao mentioned, all very real in this situation. So if I have to summarize and say, what is a future-ready workforce? I think a future-ready workforce is one which is flexible, adaptable, and resilient, right? But over and above that, in the Indian context particularly, I think we have to have our programs which are going to be inclusive. Our country is vast. It's a great country. It's a vast country. We've got to do what we can to ensure that we include everybody in this journey to make them future ready. Include people from different socioeconomic backgrounds, include people from the urban and rural areas, include people who speak different languages. I mean, today, frankly, we none of us touched upon it, but we have different sets of opportunities for people who speak English and people who don't. So I think all of those are things we can work together as industry and academia and bridge together and ensure that our youth are employable, and hopefully at some point we will get a strong definition of employability. With that, I'd like to close this discussion. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ritu. Well organized and very well moderated. Thank you.